Southpaw has just came out, and Jason, how long have I been talking about this movie since I've seen it?
Non-stop.
It's
24/7.
So don't get me wrong, there is both sides of this. I wrote my review on it back in Scotland. I've talked to the guys here at What the Flick. If you happen to be around Scotland, pick up a newspaper, you might see my review. People might be there, Jason, I'm not sure.
There's a lot of people who live in Scotland.
But,
last time I checked.
But the thing is this premise is very old. Boxing movies will always be around because it provides the perfect foundation to build a fall from grace, make it very painful, and then the euphoria of coming back in and using the ring to get your life back in order, basically. And it's happened in many movies, but different actors have played it. Rocky, obviously well known, The Fighter. We know Raging Bull is much more a character development on how the ring destroyed him more than anything else.
All the movies share a lot of similarities with each other, especially the fall from grace, especially the training montages.
Yeah, of course, the training montage. So this is all part of the fun in it, right? It may be repetitive, but I still love it. I'm a huge boxing fan, and I love boxing movies.
I thought you were going to say, I'm a huge montage.
I'm a huge montage fan. Are you kidding me? Rocky montages changed my life.
Yes.
And this movie is no different. Eminem's playlist in this throughout the montage, once you see it, Jason, you'll understand.
Frank Ocean made you cry.
Oh, Frank Ocean made me cry at the end with his song, and I've been listening to the song
These are just the facts.
So, and this is I must state that when you go to watch early screenings in Los Angeles, there's a bunch of critics there, and it's dead silent. Everyone's just taking it in. I heard sniffles, I heard cries, I heard applause throughout this. Jake Gyllenhaal has that ability to drive that reaction, drive that emotion. And obviously, heading over to What the Flick, which you guys should do to see the review, you'll see what our trusted critics had to say. But because of this release, we want to rank this movie where we believe, if you do believe it, where it would fit in the top 5 of all-time greatest boxing movies. So, there's a lot of boxing movies, and there's a lot of people that are going to discredit. This is simply because of what I feel boxing movies do for me. I want to feel the emotional roller coaster of every step of the way. It comes down to both the storyline, which is very repetitive, as we said, kind of like a broken record, but the actor or actresses who play it. So coming in at number 5, Rocky. Not going to mention the whole series.
He's the man who never had a chance until now. Rocky. His whole life was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. His name is Sylvester Stallone, but you will always remember him as Rocky.
You agree with me, right? Like, it's funny when it gets towards the end. It's a little silly. But Rocky was Sylvester Stallone set this premise, I believe, for all these movies to follow on. Yes, there was boxing movies before him, but I think that kind of reincarnated what it meant to portray the montages, to portray the journey, and just to portray a feel-good movie.
You're portraying a hero.
Yeah.
And you want to follow that hero with every single thing that he does. And okay, yes, is it the most realistic boxing movie ever created? No, we can sit here with our hands down and go punch for punch.
One Drago punch would kill you.
Right, I'd go with half. Half of one Drago punch would kill me. Actually, it's personally my favorite Rocky movie is Rocky IV, but the whole series in general, like, there's not many movies when you see on TV, like, oh, it's a Rocky marathon, that you actually sit down and watch 7 straight hours or maybe 14 straight hours of one series of movies. For that and entertainment value alone, number 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And then coming in at number 4 for me, mine's is very updated in terms of what's been coming out today.
Boxing movies have gotten better.
I think they've gotten better because obviously the camera work, you can make it more realistic. You can make every punch, like literally, as I said, both metaphorical and literal, just feels like it's hitting you when you're watching it. So The Fighter comes in at me at number 4, and that's because I like Mark Wahlberg as a character, but we know who makes that movie.
Christian Bale by a mile, yeah.
Taught him everything he knows.
You don't want to see where this fight is headed? Put it on over!
Look at the size of that guy. He's got 20 pounds on me, Dickie.
You don't fight, nobody gets paid.
It's phenomenal. It's the reason why he was up for many accolades when it came to this movie. He's got such commitment to a role, like got himself down in weight. We've seen him do this with The Machinist, but I didn't like that movie. But I thought this movie was phenomenal from start to finish, and I loved every minute of it.
Captivating in the way, and captivating in the way that, again, another character study-esque movie, which is going to relate to probably our number 1 movie on this list.
Yeah.
Christian Bale carried that entire movie. It was very believable. And it's also, of course, when you base these on true stories, how much of it is true, how much of it was fabricated, a little bit for drama value. Regardless where that line is drawn, you believe every single thing, every single moment that Christian Bale has in that movie, and because of that, it makes for a great boxing movie. It also makes for a great brother movie.
Yeah, and I love that storyline because it's not exactly Mark Wahlberg's fall from grace isn't through his own inability or he has got his own issues, but it's driven through the way he's treated in his family and the way Christian Bale is in that role is falling through his life, and it's based on a true story. That's what I love about these storylines. But the next one is not, and I was thinking about second or third, but Southpaw for me comes in at 3 for the third best boxing movie I've seen.
I am phenomenal!
again, I'm gonna get my kid back.
What chance is there that Hope could win?
The cards are stacked against Hope.
Control your destiny.
Again, it comes down to relevance, like some of the shots that Antoine Fuqua can capture. It's like point of view, as if the boxer you're fighting against is literally punching you, but never in a boxing movie has a fall from grace been so painful and so relevant and basically just so emotionally devastating for the viewer and Jake Gyllenhaal, who plays the character in this movie. Like, you're just rooting for him to try and find his way back into the ring and help things go, but he never seems to do it. When you expect it, it goes on for a while. There is flaws. His fall from grace is way too long compared to his build-up back to fighting in the ring again. It just happens very immediate, not to spoil anything. But Jake Gyllenhaal is an actor, hands down one of my favourite actors at the moment. He's so captivating. He's so diverse. If you see him in Nightcrawler, if you see him in Zodiac, he can play many different characters.
Go way back to one of his first ever roles, Donnie Darko.
Yeah, Donnie Darko as well. And of course we know him from Brokeback Mountain. In End of Watch, one of the most underrated movies, I think, when he played it with Michael Pena. I love that movie. I think that he's just an unbelievable actor. And one thing that he can portray more than anything is despair. He does it so well in End of Watch. And in this movie, there's a lot of despair that he portrays. Yeah. And he's fucking phenomenal.
They got, when you get beat in a ring, they got that face down pretty perfectly. Because I remember when we were at the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight, the undercard fighters came out. And you see them after one of the guys after a loss.
Yeah.
Your face is swollen. It's bloody, it's cut, it's beaten. They got that spot on in Southpaw. Where I feel in other movies it was either so exaggerated you go like, they'll never fight again based off how their face looks in that moment, or they'll walk out of the ring with nothing after 12 rounds of going back and forth, even like the Rocky movies where there's just maybe a little bit of a swollen eye.
You can't see his eyes.
You're like, what? It makes no sense. No blood, no bruise, no swelling, but like Southpaw, even down, and these things make a huge difference for any movie in general, even down to the makeup. Spot on.
Yeah, I completely agree, and we talked about the director took the journey with Jake Gyllenhaal. He trained to be a fighter. Like, we know Victor Ortiz was involved in this movie. He's actually in his corner during his last fight. And
speaking of the training too, in the fighter, real quick, Freddie Roach trained Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah, and that's what makes these movies, because you can tell. Like, of course, Rocky Balboa is a fantastic movie, and towards the end he starts to get his punching ability down, but most of it's just like a street brawl. They're just leathering each other in the face.
They're telegraphing punch for punch for punch.
Yeah. And then, but the way Billy Hope, the character in Southpaw, has that same approach to his fighting, but then Forrest Whitaker, another phenomenal actor, helps him adapt to a different role to take the punches, change it up. That's why the name's Southpaw. Most people I've spoke to are like, why is it called Southpaw? Like, he doesn't really change his fighting style. It's because he had to change the way he approached his life. You know what I mean? After it. That's the metaphorical side.
Is he not a lefty?
No. And he changes it a little bit to his fighting stance to when he's really against the ropes, that's when he has to change it. So his whole life's against the ropes. You'll see it. It's no secret. I mean, the trailer basically spoils it, right?
The trailer shows you the entire movie.
It shows you Rachel McAdams. We know that he has to overcome the death of her, like his wife. And the person who plays his daughter is phenomenal. And I read another story. I've been researching it every day. The daughter of him in this movie said the actor for it had to help Jake Gyllenhaal grow as a father in it, because the idea is that he was a really bad father to start. Well, not a bad father, but he just didn't know how to take care of his daughter because his wife did it. And she had to help him kind of off the screen grow into that role. I think that was fascinating, because you expect Jake Gyllenhaal to be able to do everything on his own, because he's a great actor. But all in all, great chemistry between those. Great soundtrack, Frank Ocean's song in it, replaying in my head.
Weeps.
Non-stop. So let's move on. Number 2, Oscar-winning and nominated movie.
Think Like Clint.
Yes, Think Like Clint. $1 Million Baby.
I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I just want to keep her with me.
Female boxer, you don't see that as much, and
that drew you in immediately. Immediately.
And I just fascinated by the movie. I loved the interaction between the main characters. Like, Clint Eastwood's such a hard ass in this movie from the start to finish, and just to see that character building, and then obviously the devastation at the end. You don't expect to see that as much. You expect the euphoria at the end.
And a lot of people at the end, towards the end of that movie, they'll say that the 40 minutes dragged on way too much. Well, those are, if you're looking at it that way, you're looking at the movie in the completely wrong perspective. Yeah. Because those last 40 minutes I thought were the absolute best part of that movie. Yeah, the climax, of course, where, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, she falls and breaks her neck on a stool because Clint left still in place. And obviously he knows, but just the despair and the reaction and the real acting that takes place between that moment and the end of the movie when she kind of accepts what's going to happen to her, it's one of the few movies where I've actually cried in and almost haven't rewatched because I know like you have to be in the right emotional mindset to sit down. And if the movie can move you to that point, boxing or not, it's an unbelievably great movie.
And you took the words right out my pen, I would say, because I wrote this for my review. To take the words out my pen. That's what I wrote. Is like, yes, it's a tiresome premise. It's like a broken record, but it's down to the acting and it's down to how it makes you feel when you're watching it. It's not. There's how many superhero movies are we going to see? There's a million of them that are coming out, all different characters. Yes, but if they can make you believe that these things could potentially be happening in real life, if they can explore your imagination, then why stop doing them? Why stop doing boxing movies? Because if they can make you, if they can make you emotionally moved, then why not keep making these movies? And Southpaw does that. $1 Million Baby, I completely agree, was one of the most devastating movies to watch. And of course, it was just overall a fantastically acted movie. And then in number one, our final movie has to be Raging Bull.
I'm the best. I can take it more than anybody.
You're dead, you're married. Leave the young girls for me.
There's no way I'm going down. I don't go down for nobody.
It's not just the #1 boxing movie, it's, in my opinion, a top 10 greatest movie of all time. When I studied film in school and studied film in high school, first class I ever took, we watched Raging Bull. And the reason for that was because it's the best and still greatest photographed movie of all time.
Yeah, and it's one of the, I mean, and amongst all Martin Scorsese's fantastic movies, it was unbelievable from start to finish. In that movie, as much as some of these document the fall from grace and how the ring helps him get back into it, Robert De Niro's character, his fall from grace comes while he's in the ring as well, and how that way of life defines him, and it always hinders him. Of course, if you haven't seen the movie, you need to see it. It's unbelievable.
Two quick honorable mentions. Cinderella Man, a great movie. It does take a little bit too long in the middle to build, but the whole idea, especially when they show you the footage of Max Baer killing somebody in the ring, which, by the way, the death, I do not know if it was real, but Max Baer was known as a fighter based off a real fighter who would punch down on people.
Yeah.
One of the scariest things you can see in boxing. It hasn't happened in a long time. We pray it doesn't happen ever again, because you can kill somebody like that.
Yeah.
Number two, When We Were Kings, absolutely fantastic movie all the way through.
I did like Ali as well. Like I did like Will Smith's portrayal of Ali, but I just don't know if it ranks in the top 5. There's a bunch of movies.
I mean, it's tough. The Ali movies are tough because there's been a lot of them. I actually like the documentary that we covered. I Am Ali more than the one with Will Smith.
Yeah, and a documentary as well is just, it gives you that further insight into the realism.
But yeah, I guess you have to separate that from the rest of the movies.
All right, and as always, if you wanted to see the review of Southpaw, head over to our companion channel, What the Flick, where Alonzo and the team over there break down Southpaw. I might not agree with everything they said, but overall I think it's a great movie and you guys definitely should see it, especially if you like Eminem. His soundtrack's unbelievable. Thanks again. Head over to What the Flick and watch that. Stay tuned to TIT Sports.
I am phenomenal!